Hey friends, welcome back to Watavue Mountain. Yep, you guessed it. You can tell we're at the mountain today, so you know it's going to be a great day. As you can see, here's your weather report. A little overcast, a little cloudy. It's probably mid-60s, so it really feels great when it's not raining. I'm getting a little late start today, but that's okay. The weather's just not been cooperating, so it is what it is. But we're at the mountain, so life is good. We don't care. So thanks for coming. Thanks for checking us out. We're really getting into the home stretch here. As you saw in the last video, probably was us framing out the bathroom and getting the loft done. So we're getting there. So yeah, enough of me jabbering. Get yourself something to drink. Sit back, relax. We're glad you're here, and let's get to busy. So what's the task at hand today? Well, you may or may not notice, we got some pipe. We got some PEX. So we don't have an elaborate plan for our plumbing. Either water going in or water going out. Essentially, I just sat down on the computer and drew this out. So today's gonna be really just installing the PEX. It's not gonna be the hot water tank. It's not gonna be the water filters and all that kind of stuff. We'll do a video later on that. Partially because I still hadn't decided what we're going to do yet, so we hadn't bought it yet. So today is going to be all about our PEX plan. We do know that we're going to put the hot water tank and possibly a cistern on the south side of the cabin. Even though we have the well, if you remember, if you look back to the install of the well pump, I'll throw that video in here. That pump is not designed to run a house. It's designed to fill a trough. So you turn it on, you turn it off. Now I'm looking into trying to rewire that or reconfigure it so that it can work in that fashion. I just don't think it's meant to do that. And I think in that video we mentioned it was like a $200 pump. It's not a fancy pump or like an RPS pump or anything like that. So we still got to figure that out. In the meantime, we know where we're going to put the sink in the kitchen. We know where we're going to put the shower, and we might possibly stub in for a sink in the bathroom as well. So that's what this little plan is. I recommend if you're going to do this, at least sit down and draw it out, maybe not on the computer. And now of course this isn't 100% accurate as far as the distance and length and all that kind of stuff, but it gave me an idea of how much of everything that I'm going to need. So I knew that I needed 100 feet of PEX, so I got 100 feet of PEX. And I just got all blue because that's going to be the main trunk running through, which you'll see in a little bit. And then for the stobs going down, I got these 10-foot sections of PEX. So let's look at what else we need to have for this adventure. So what do we need? So we have the 1/2-inch PEX, which is this, to run all of our lines into our sink and into the shower. And then we have the 3/4, which is going to be our main trunk. And we're just going to do a trunk and run is what they call it, which you'll see here in a little bit. So what do we need? So because we're doing 3/4 for our main line and we're doing 1/2-inch for the into the spigots, we need 3/4 to 3/4 to 1/2-inch T's. So we have these T's so that we can just connect the 3/4 together, and then we can run our stobs up to the sink to this piece, right? Then we need a 3/4 elbow, 3/4 to 1/2-inch elbow, which you see there. That's going to be at the end of the line where we have the sink, right? So that 3/4 main line will come in here. Then we'll run this up to the sink with a 1/2-inch line. Okay. We also need our shark bite clamps, or these just happen to be shark bite, but our PEX clamps. And you'll see why these look this way instead of like the other PEX clamps, where they have the little dog ear. But we'll need 3/4 and 1/2-inch for those. We're also going to need a shutoff valve, so it's a 3/4 to 3/4 shutoff valve for where the water comes in to the house, just so we can shut that off. We need these wall stoppers, just in case. I don't know if we're necessarily going to need them for the little bit we're going to do, but I got them just in case. Nothing's really going to be through any of the 2x4s, I don't think, going horizontally, so we might not need these, but it's good to have just in case, and they were 59 cents each, so it's worth the money. We're going to put a spigot on the outside. So we needed the spigot, and then we need an adapter, a threaded 3/4 to 3/4 adapter, the MNPT. So it'll thread in right here, and then this side will connect to the 3/4 PEX. And then we'll also need some Teflon tape, which I didn't bring out, but I have some. All right, moving on over here. These are our C-clamps. So as you'll see, these are what's gonna hold the PEX to the underside of the cabin. So once we run it and we figure out where we're going, we'll just secure the PEX like that with these, and then nail those into the floor joists. A couple tools you're gonna need. You're gonna need one of these handy dandy pipe cutters, and this does great if you're doing any kind of pipe plumbing work at all. You can cut PVC with this, PVC, or PEX with this. So it's a great little handy tool to have, and it'll help you make sure that you have a nice straight cut at the end of your PEX. We got some needle nose just in case we need those if we mess up on the clamps. A 5/8 inch drill bit so we can run those 1/2 inch stobs up through the floor. This is that PEX tool I was talking about. As you can see, it just has a little end clamp. Let me just open these so you can see what I'm talking about. All right, so as you see, that fits in, right? So I slide this onto my PVC, onto my PEX, I'm sorry. Then I just put that in there and I clamp it down. And we'll show this lots while we're going through. But that's how you understand. So it's not like the old one that just had a big round circle here and you compressed it down with the copper fittings. These are stainless steel fittings, and I just happen to have this tool from a project I worked on in the camper, so that's what we're going with. And then last but certainly not least, we need our trusty hammer so we can hammer in these clamps. So enough of that review. Let's head on inside and see if we can figure out where we're gonna run our stobs up to the sink in the kitchen and to the shower, and then we'll start drilling holes. I'm in the bathroom, right? And as we previously discussed, right, we have about 64 inches of width this way, and then depth, and then 75 inches of width. So not real big. 64 by 75 is not a huge bathroom, but on purpose, right? We didn't want to take up a bunch of space inside this 380 square foot cabin just for the bathroom. So we're going to go with a composting toilet to start out. Just because the only thing that we need a permit for here is septic. And I'm in the process of filling out the septic paperwork, but it sounds like they still want me to do a full-size septic system, even though this is only going to be a part-time cabin, maximum 4 people. They still want me to build a $10,000 septic system. So if we look at the floor right here, you see we've already marked out where we're going to put just the shower pan, and it's about 48 by 34. So 48 by 34 this way. So just a rough estimate, just so I know where we're going to go ahead and drill the holes for our water to come up for our controls. So where the camera is now, you're going to walk in this way. You have about 2 feet here, 30 inches roughly, and then it'll be the shower pan. And it's going to just be a low lip shower pan. And then hopefully we'll be able to tile this whole wall. We'll see. But the controls are going to be here on this wall, and then we're going to run it up and then come down, and we're going to have a rain shower head instead of just a regular shower head coming down. So straight up above us will be the rain shower head. So we got to figure out then, where do we want the controls? Well, it doesn't make sense to put them along the long way on the 48-inch side, right? So going this way doesn't make sense. So we're going to put it on the short side. We can't put it over here because there's no wall, and that's where the toilet's going to be. So we're going to go right here. Even though this there's 16-inch on center studs, we're still going to try to pack it in here and then put it right here on the edge. So ideally, right, for the shower, we're going to come through the floor plates and then go through the subfloor all the way out, okay? And again, this is 16-inch on center. We ideally want these centered in the center of that 2x4. And now, as we talked about before, right, a 2x4 is not really a 2x4. It's only 3.5 inches wide. So 1 3/4 is about the center of that 2x4. So that's our center that we're going to shoot for all the way across. But I want these to be as close to 8 inches apart as I can get them. Okay, so I'm going to go with one right here and one right here. So that's my 8 inches apart. Okay, and then I'll just measure over my 1 3/4 to right there, and then 1 3/4 to there. So that's where I'm going to drill my holes. So I'm going to use a 5/8 inch bit. We'll see if this works. I didn't want to go buy another bit. They make longer ones that are solid. So let's see how this works out. I don't know if this is going to go all the way through the bottom plate and the subfloor, but let's give it a try and see what happens. That's what I was afraid of. Did I strip it? Sometimes it's better to be lucky than good. What did we use this drill bit for? Do you remember? I don't even remember. I don't remember why I bought this drill bit. I didn't even remember I had this drill bit. But
thank goodness you have it.
Thank goodness we got it, because this didn't work. It won't reach all the way through. So I went to my toolbox to see what I have, and this thing was laying in the bottom underneath a bunch of other stuff. So I'll try to figure out what we use this for and link the video. Oh, I know. On the pole barn, when we did the bolts on the pole barn, that's what we use this for. That's why I forgot, because it's been over a year since I've used it. Anyhow, long story short, this is plenty long enough to go all the way through. So now let's drill some holes. Can you see it? Mm-hmm. Now if you look down, bada bing, there you go. We got light. So let me drill the other hole, and then we'll stop these bad boys in there. So like I said, these cutters, and I wish I knew the real name, I could tell you, but I don't. So I'm just gonna cut these in half so that I can stop these through, because I don't need 10 feet coming through the floor. I only need about 3.5 feet, but I'm gonna cut them at 5 feet. But as you can see, I have it seated in there, nice and flush, and then I'm just gonna squeeze the clamp and cut it, and now I have nice squared off ends. So we'll do that on the blue, do it on the red, and then we're gonna stop these in the hole. All right, so we got our holes cut. The hot goes on the left and the cold goes on the right. So I'm just gonna dry it. Well, I might have to cut that out a little more. So this is where we're gonna put a little sink in this corner of the bathroom. As you can see here, I don't know if you can really appreciate that red line. That's my chalk line to mark where the floor joist is. So clearly, if I just come out 4 inches, I'd be right on that chalk line, and that's not where I want to put that drain. So I came out to 6 inches, drilled a little pilot hole just to make sure. I'm not drilling drains today, but I drilled that just to make sure I'm not going to hit that floor joist. So now what I'm going to do for the sink, it's a little different than a shower, in that they're going to be 4 inches apart, but I'm just going to go straight through the floor. So I'm going to roughly mark here and 8 inches here. And then same thing, I'm going to drill my 5/8 holes and pray that this doesn't hit the other side of that floor joist. So let's get to drilling and see what happens. little easier because it's just the floor joist. I mean, just the subfloor. And now that 5/8, that's tight as a tick. So you got to work at it a little to get those in there, but now they're in there. And then, like I said, we'll come back once I get the proper pipe, the PVC. We'll drill this hole right here in the middle, 1.5 inches, and drop that PVC down in there. So this corner is where all the hot water is going to be, and probably the pump that's going to run all the water in. So I'm going to run from this end of the house. This is the south side of the cabin, and I'm going to run it all that way. Everything's right in line this way. So to make my life easier, I'm going to unwind this 100 foot of 3/4 inch PEX before I even get started. So if it doesn't win, so there you go. Now you can see from the end where we're going to run it this way. So where I'm standing right now is going to be where we have the water coming in, and you can see, so here's our kitchen sink down there, right about in there. That's the shower, and then over here in the middle, that's where we're going to have the sink in the bathroom. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull that 3/4 inch all the way down, and then kind of go over to there, and I'm going to start there at the end, crimping, and then I'm going to work my way backwards to here. So we'll do the cold line first, and then we'll do the hot line. So let's see if that coil is unstiffened. That's the great thing and terrible thing about the PEX, right? It's real flexible. It also has a memory, so it's going to stay coiled like that and be a little bit to wrestle with for the first little bit here, but we'll get it straightened out.
Fun times, fun times.
I guess I should clean some of this up first.
Watch that nail sticking up. You see it? And right in front of you to your right,
Right
underneath, yeah.
Okay. So this is like I said, the sink in the bathroom. So what I've got is a reducing elbow, so the 1/2 inch or 3/4 to 1/2 inch. So what I'll do first is I'll take this stainless steel collar. I'm going to slide it on my 1/2 inch right here. Slide that, hold that in place. And I'm going to push that flush. Come in close. Here, let me steal that from her. So you see it's flush with the lip. See how this has a lip right there? So I'll put the 3/4 flush to that lip. That 1/2 inch is flush to that lip. And then I want that 1/8 to 1/4 of an inch from the end. And this is why it's important that you make a nice flush cut when you cut your PEX pipe, so that fits nice and flush all the way around. So now that's going to hold itself right there, and then I'm going to crimp this bad boy in place. So again, with this crimper, right, you see that the end right there, it just opens up, and I'm going to put that right in here. I'm going to pull first like this, and then I'm going to finish two-handed. It slid down. Dang it. Right there. So I got 1/8 of an inch, and I'm going to crimp that in place. And then with these, you just keep going, squeezing until it releases itself. There you go. And now that's not coming out. Easy breezy lemon squeezy. You see we got about 1/8 there. It's nice and level. And then we're going to take the 3/4 inch crimp, put it on the 3/4 inch pipe. It's still kind of loosey-goosey there, but push that in nice and flush, move that down, to there. 1/8 of an inch. So again, I'm flush here, right? The end of my pecs is flush with the shoulder on there. I got my crimper in place. Oh, I need another hand, don't I? There we go. Big squeeze on that 3/4, and then you can see here now, see how much more clamped down that is, and it's got a little dent in the middle. So that thing's on there tighter than a tick. So now I'm just going to push this back up so that I can clamp that with my other brackets. All right, so if I had hot water pipe, I would do this one at the same time right now, but I don't. All they had was 100-foot sections, and I only needed 100 feet total to run the cold and the hot. So it's all going to be this 3/4 inch blue line. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and connect this with this clamp to hold this in place, this PEX in place. So you can see I got the clamp right here, and I'm just going to nail it in place. But I got to reach up and pull this pipe over just a titch so it can go to that corner. And then that's nailed in place so that that doesn't move out. And we'll throw one more in right here just to help. This is all just to help straighten this out right now so I can work with it. And of course that's securing it in place as well. So normally I would wait to do that, but you'll see here the angle that we have to go to this corner piece is a little sketchy. So and this still has a little bit of memory in it, that curved memory you can see. So I'm just trying to get it straightened out as much as I can so we're not wasting a bunch of PEX. So let's move back over here to the corner and see what we're doing there. Okay, so now we're in this corner where the shower is. I've already put in my T-piece because that's what I got. Ideally I would have like a 90, but it's 3/4 to 3/4 to 1/2 inch. I already put the 1/2 inch in. As you can see, it's nice and crimped. I got my 3/4 inch clamp here, and we're gonna put you in right like that. Then I'm gonna come on down to 1/8 to 1/4, and then we're gonna crimp it. All right, this is way harder than it looks. Crimping these 3/4 is pretty tough. But as you see now, here's that's going to the sink behind me, right? Like I said, all I have is a T. It is what it is. Like I said, it'd be ideal if this was coming off this way, if I had a 90. I didn't think that far ahead though, so we use what we got. So what we're gonna do is I'm gonna connect that 3/4 here. It's gonna loop out. Right now you're underneath the deck. So it's gonna loop out underneath the deck a little bit, but again, the great thing about this PEX is it's pretty flexible and it's pretty forgiving. So I can make those kind of mistakes. So now I got that 100-foot behind me. I'm gonna just, same thing. Slide it on here. It's nice and flush. 1/8 to 1/4. And then, like I said, this is no joke right here. Pulling this is no joke. There you go. Cold water connection made. And then, well, I was going to try to push that back up through there. I'll work on that and we'll come back and finish the rest of it. You didn't need to see that 300 times. So what I did is I went ahead and you see the hot water for the bathroom sink, and then I put scab those boards in behind it. I'm gonna have to come back. I didn't get any of these C clamps for 1/2 inch. All I have is 3/4 inch I wasn't thinking about the pipes going up. So I got to get some 1/2 inch and I'll secure that to those boards. And then I secured these both all the way across. Now I know they're both blue, but this one's hot and this one's the cold. And then, like I said, they cross over right here. And then there's our hot, there's our cold all crimped in. I got them C-clamped here. This is the edge of the deck. So this is actually the ledger board of the deck. And then we're gonna make a little turn here. And then we're gonna head all the way back down that way and go stop in the kitchen. And then we'll go from the kitchen over to the far end where we're gonna put the hot water heater and the pump. So let's move down there and do that. Okay, so we had to run to town again because, as we all know, I'm a cheapskate. And when we first got all the stuff, I did not want to spend the money on these end caps. These are like $7 a piece, and that's all, both places. We went to a different hardware store, and that's all they had. They didn't have the little cheap plastic ones that you can clamp on there. So we ended up buying those, and then we ended up also buying just the shutoff valves that we're going to use anyhow for the sinks. So we bought those, and then I'm putting together. So I had to buy a pressure gauge, and then I used an adapter. So the pressure gauge is a 1/4 inch, then a 1/4 to 1/2 inch adapter, and then a 1/2 inch shark bite, so that I can put these on wherever. Probably the shower is probably what I'll use. I'll use this, and then I'm putting this together now. Golly, why am I forgetting the name of it? But this is how I'm going to put the air into the pressure system to pressurize it. And I just wanted to talk real quick about righty-tighty. So when we screw this in, we're going to screw it this way. So we want to make sure that when we put our Teflon tape on, we put it on the same but opposite, if that makes sense. So I'm going to turn it like I'm screwing it in, put my Teflon tape on there, pull it off, right? And then when I put that into its 1/4 inch adapter, you see, because I turn it this way, so now when I screw it in this way, it's just going to tighten it down. So stupid, silly little trick. I know you've seen it 1,000 times, but I just wanted to show you while I was doing it. So let me finish this up, and we'll get everything plugged up, and then we'll do some pressure test. So I need to close the loop on the system, right? So this is the hot side, and this is the cold side. And so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to put this. I'm going to put this valve here, and it'll be just temporary, just to hold it, so we can do the pressure test. Pressure test. Check.
Test.
Check. Test. Yes, it's one of those days.
Oh my goodness.
So now that whole system is, the hot side and cold side are connected. So now we'll go inside and put the shark bites on the two style ups for the sinks, and then I'm going to go ahead and put the pressure gauge and the not Salinger. I'm going to think of it eventually, but I'll put that on, and then we'll fill it up with air. Let's do it. Like I said, pressure gauge, and we got the pressure gauge 1/4 inch to 1/2 inch, and then we got it to the 1/2 inch shark bite. So we're going to go ahead and put that on this side. And then, like I said, this is just like you use to inflate your tire on your car, right? Same thing, 1/4 to 1/2 to the shark bite. We're going to put that in here. That's all good. Now when Sean turns around, we can show you right behind us. So here we stopped up the cutoffs, shut-off valves for the water coming in, hot and cold, and we have those closed. So let me go fire up the generator and the compressor, and let's get some pressure in here and see what happens. All right, let's fill it up and see what happens. We're going to go up to about 50 or 60 psi, and then we're going to let it sit probably overnight because it's like 5 o'clock already. So we'll get that thing filled up. Some things read said 50, some said 80, some said 90. The guy at the hardware store said 50. So we're gonna go to 60. There you go. Sitting right at 60. Nope. No, we're right at 60. Let me put a titch more, it dropped to 59. Right at 60. It's not moving. All right, we'll let that sit overnight. Like I said, just because it's actually 5:30. So we'll let that sit overnight. We'll come back in the morning to check that, and then we'll go from there. All right, so it's been about 15 hours. We come back, we had it at 60, if you remember. And now this morning we're at about 14. So that's why we did it. It means we got a leak somewhere. So what we're gonna do is I'm gonna do just like you would do the recommendations on like a grill, a barbecue grill when you hook up your gas, is put a little bit of soap on all of our connections, even underneath, especially underneath where we crimped all those off, and then see if we can figure out where we're leaking. So let me grab some soap. I'll soap everything up, then we'll fill it back up with air and see where we're blowing bubbles. Just to show you what I'm talking about, soap, I got the spray bottle. All right, we'll start here. I'm not gonna show you every one of these that I do. I'm just gonna put a dab of soap there, kind of run that around a little bit on all the connections. I'm gonna spray it. We're looking for bubbles. I don't see any bubbles. Doesn't sound like it's hissing out of any of these connections, so that must be good. Same thing, we'll just do this. Just a dab is all you need. You don't really need that much on there. Little spray. Oh, that was a bubble from the bottle. So these aren't bubbling, so we know this isn't the leak. So what I'm gonna do now is I'm just gonna keep going around. I filled it up, as you see, to 60 again. So I'm gonna go, it made more sense to fill it up first. That way if I see the leak, I can fix the leak. If I didn't want to have to crawl underneath the cabin 2 or 3 times to get this done. So let me run around and do this real quick and we'll see where the leak is. Well, of course, here's our culprit. 2 times around, and of course the bubble just popped. I'll throw a picture in here. I grabbed a picture of it. But it's such a slow leak. It's been like 15 minutes until we finally saw just a little bit of a bubble. So I'm just gonna push down on this shark bite fitting, and well, actually I'm gonna let the pressure off. I'm probably gonna go ahead and take this off, and then I'll show you how to take off a shark bite fitting off of some PEX. So we'll kind of kill 2 birds with 1 stone here. Make sure the end of that is square, and then we'll reinsert it. This is how you remove a shark bite fitting, and then I'll show you how to put it back on. Now they make a special tool that you can put on there. I don't know how much it is, but I don't have it. So I'm just gonna use an adjustable wrench or pipe wrench, whatever you call it. Adjust it. I'm gonna hold the pipe and I'm gonna pull up, maybe. There you go, that's simple. That's how you remove a shark bite fitting. I'm checking this out now. I gotta get my glasses so I can see. To make sure, I mean, that's as square as that can get. I'm still gonna cut it, make sure it's 100% flush. I'm just gonna cut the tip off. And I'm gonna let, so this it's double seated on this side. You see there's 2, so it kind of will sit itself in there and level itself out. So that when you do cut, you get a nice straight flush cut. So make sure it's nice and square. Shark bite fitting install, it's this simple. So this is just a shut-off valve for the sink. This is nice and flush. You're just gonna set it right in there and then push it down until you heard it bottom out and it's seated down in there. And that's it, that's all she wrote. All right, so we found the leak. It was that 1 shut-off valve for the sink in the kitchen. Everything else is closed again. We're gonna try this one more time. Let's fill this bad boy back up. Get us up to about 50 or 60. See what happens. Let's try 50 this time. Why not? 60 hadn't been working out good for us, so we'll let it sit there. We'll check that in about 15 minutes and see where we're at. All right, so we found the leak. Just like I said, I took that shark bite off, made sure that was squared off right at the end, and then put that shark bite back on, and then just kind of twisted it a little just to make sure. Now, of course, once we get water hooked up to this, we'll find out for sure if we still have a leak. I don't think we do because there's no more bubbles. But we'll find out for sure once we get the water hooked up and get that through the system. So yeah, so that's it. That's how we're installing PEX at the mini cabin. Just two sinks and a shower. Pretty simple. And again, you see why now we built the cabin off the ground so high, so I could crawl around underneath there and take care of all this stuff. So that's it. Pretty straightforward, easy peasy. Next, we'll install drains, and we're going to start on the electrical. So that's it. It's an absolute beautiful day here right now. As you can see, it's probably 70 degrees, the wind's blowing, sun's out. Beautiful day. Absolutely blessed. God is good to us and continues to be good to us, and I hope that he is continuing to be good to you as well. So thanks for coming. Thanks for checking us out. Like I said, it's a blessing to have you along this journey with us. We're blessed to be on this journey and to be able to try to do this. And so far, so good. Knock on wood, we haven't had to hire anybody. So if you're enjoying this series, make sure you hit like, hit subscribe, hit the little bell icon so you know when we post new content. And yeah, if you look up this way, we're going to post another video, probably something related to building this mini cabin. And as always, thanks for coming and be safe.